Paranormal Punches is part of the Podbelly Network. Go to podbelly.com for more great podcasts.
Hey y'all, this is Frank the Bigfoot, and you're listening to the Paranormal Punchers.
So we're kicking things off, guys. The creator stage is the heart and soul of the content creator universe here at Fan Expo Philadelphia. We have got an army of podcasters, YouTubers, cosplayers, comic book creators. We're going to be just shotgun style, show after show after show, all weekend long right here on the creator stage. Some other amazing things happening tonight, guys. 8 o'clock is the Clerks panel. You're not going to want to miss that later on tonight. Totally free of charge. And of course, the 9 o'clock drink and draw for all of you people that like to draw and occasionally enjoy the, a drink every now and again. So my name is Chuck from ChuckLoadedComics.com. All the content from the creator stage is going to be at ChuckLoadedComics.com after the convention ends. So check it out. Don't miss a thing. Right now, very excited about this next podcast, guys. You guys are the first podcast of the creator stage. Congratulations. The Paranormal Punchers, a lighthearted podcast discussing everything paranormal. They discuss Bigfoot, aliens, ghosts, haunted locations, and much, much more. So without further ado, give a huge Philadelphia round of applause and welcome to the Paranormal Punchers.
Hey, all right. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, friends. Yes, like you said, we are the Paranormal Punchers podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Alicia.
I'm Nash.
I'm Dave.
And yes, we do talk about all things paranormal, but we're at the Fan Expo, and we got to bring it into the pop culture realm, movies, and I think there's only one name I could think we could talk about if you're going to combine the weird, the supernatural, the paranormal, and movies, and that would be Nicolas Cage. So, right? All right, so here's how we're going to tie Nicolas Cage to the paranormal, which is very easy because my man's out there. This is a quote from Nicolas Cage. I once lived in the most haunted house in America. The LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans used to belong to Madame LaLaurie, a well-known 19th century socialite and serial killer. I bought it in 2007, figuring it would be a good place in which to write the great American horror novel. I didn't get too far with the novel. Now, so Nick bought this house, moved in to write his books. He could only last one night. He was so scared of what was going on in the house, he rented a place across the street and let his friends have a party the second night in the mansion.
Yeah.
But he did not go back in. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I think Nicolas Cage, that's a hard man to scare, right?
Right.
I think so. I do like the idea of he was so scared that he was told all of his friends, you guys go have fun. You hang out. I'm going to be elsewhere across the street because this is a little too much for me. Yeah.
Oh, and we'll get to just how strange Nick can be. But I had to wonder how scary is the house that Nick could only spend one night.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about the house and then bring it back to my man Cage.
Yeah. So this impressive house is located in the French Quarter of New Orleans and has a tumultuous and dark history. It's 12,000 square foot, built in 1831, and Marie Delphine McCarty LaLaurie and her third husband moved in. And although they were very popular in town, it wasn't until a fire in the slaves' quarters in 1834 that some horrible truths were exposed. Now, Delphine LaLaurie, she's actually kind of familiar, or she should be, because American Horror Story Season 3? They had a character. So, just to put that in perspective for you guys. Now, the fire started during one of Delphine's lavish parties, and the guests and some slaves, they tried to bring all the home's finer things out into the street, but the party continued with a band playing out in the street with them. Now, it was at this point Some of
The house was burning down, and that the band just moved on the street.
Yep.
They just kept the party
They
going.
kept partying out on the street.
It's all about the show. It's
Yes.
about keeping the show going.
It's like the band on the Titanic. They just kept playing.
They kept on playing, man.
All right.
Yeah. So it was at this point, some of her slaves, they burst out onto the street, and to everyone's shock, they were bruised, broken, and bearing the marks of whips. Now, one man, he even had a hole in his head with maggots that were crawling in and out of it.
That's not good.
No. The fire department, when they got there, they found an elderly woman bound with heavy chains, and she was in the kitchen. She confessed to setting the fire in order to die by suicide, so as not to be punished anymore by Delphine.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, this was
not
just
a nice lady.
No, this was just the beginning of the horrors that they found there, and I'm not going to go into it, really. But the neighbors, they became enraged at the atrocities that had occurred at the mansion, and they ended up ransacking the mansion and destroying what was left after the fire. Delphine, she fled to France and lived the remainder of her life there without ever paying for the horrors that she committed. It was rebuilt in 1838, and over the years, it was used as a public high school, a music conservatory, a bar.
A public high school?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow.
A bar, a furniture store, and an apartment building. Now, eventually it fell into private hands, but nobody seemed to own it for very long. Besides the horrors with Delphine, there has been a lot of death here, and mysterious circumstances, including one owner who ended up in an asylum and one that fell into a coma. Now, there was even a tenant of one of the apartments who was brutally murdered in the house, and police assumed he'd been like a victim of a robbery, even though nothing was really taken. When they were interviewing neighbors, they said he had claimed to be having issues with sprites, and that demons lived in the house. So,
which could very well be the case. I mean, with that much death and horror in the house,
right.
It could be a magnet for all kinds of stuff coming through.
Absolutely. Now, according to local lore, the mansion is incredibly haunted because of all the death and horror that occurred there.
And the demons that moved in.
Yeah. Well, it was an apartment, so they could charge individually for the demons.
Oh, the demons are renting the rooms.
Yeah. Okay. It was a complicated lease. It's all litigious.
All right. So as far as like the hauntings that go on there, the tenants of the apartment, they would hear moans, cries, screams, and footsteps throughout the house regularly. They would smell burning flesh and hear what sounded like dragging chains.
Sure. Yeah. That too.
Scratching noises under the floorboards could also be heard. Doors slam on their own, faucets, they'll suddenly turn on, and furniture will move on its own. When it was a furniture store, the owner kept claiming that...
The furniture moved on its own?
Well, no, actually. The furniture would get ruined by vandals with black ink. He waited around one night in order to catch them in the act, but no one showed up. The next morning, though, the furniture had liquid on it. Where did it come from? I don't know. Body imprints are found in beds, even though no one has slept in them. And apparitions are seen. One of the tenants, they came home late one night and found a large man in chains was blocking his way on the stairs. He tried to tell the figure to move and tried to push past him, but his hands passed right through him, and then the man in chains disappeared. Some would wake up in the middle of the night to a woman with long red hair glaring down at them as they slept. Many think that maybe that was the spirit of Delphine, even though she didn't die there, so I don't know. When the house was a school, many of the young girls would encounter a ghostly woman who would grab their arms, leaving scratches and bruises.
Wow.
Yeah.
Also thought to be Delphine.
Right, I think so. Many people who have stood near the house report feeling as if they were taken over by a negative energy. And lastly, a medium, she visited the house once and actually suggested that the most of the evil that had been there had dissipated. So the ghosts that were there were just free to roam around the house without fear. But
And Nicolas Cage still wanted to move into that house.
Right.
He did now. It would be interesting. Now, he unfortunately had filed bankruptcy and he lost the house.
Yeah.
But that doesn't stop Nic Cage from doing some really strange things.
Right.
I would like to go to some Nic Cage fun facts after that. Thank you so much for the deep dive on the house that scared Nicolas Cage so much. But I'm going to tell you, there's not much else that scares him. Let's just start with, he already has his tomb erected in New Orleans at one of the most famous cemeteries there, the Louis Cemetery number 1, or St. Louis Cemetery number 1.
Yeah.
And it's shaped like a big pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fans of Nic Cage think, number 1, it's a pyramid because, well, he was a national treasure.
Right.
Okay. 2, people think he's part of the Illuminati.
Okay.
And that's why it's shaped like a pyramid. Now, I don't know if anybody's seen this picture. It's like from like the 1900s. It looks exactly like Nic Cage. So people also think he goes into his tomb to regenerate because he's immortal.
Yeah.
Oh, he might have a Lazarus pit in the pyramid.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I could use one of those.
Yeah. Couldn't we all?
Yeah, instead of a pool, you just have a Lazarus pit out in the backyard.
Not yet. Invite everybody over.
I could use it. That'd be nice.
Now, I did find that he was having nightmares after he purchased the house, and he sought advice from a psychic medium, and she or he told him that he was cursed and needed to buy a grave plot as close as possible to voodoo priestess Marie Laveau. Am I saying that right? And that's where he put the pyramid.
Okay, I like him being an Illuminati better, but
I know.
yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Let's continue with the weird. So one time, Nic Cage bought a dinosaur skull for $276,000. Now, he outbid Leo DiCaprio to get this skull, only to be contacted by Homeland Security because it was stolen. And he had, and Nic Cage is super cool, and he returned it so the museum or wherever it was supposed to be could get it back.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I came across was that he actually did his own Grail search. He went on a search for the Holy Grail himself.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it fits right in line. He actually bought 2 different castles to do it. The first was about $13 million. The second was about $7 million. So I think that Nic Cage is on the right path. I think Nic
Cage is the Highlander.
Right. He could be. He could also be really trying to just get rid of all of his assets. I don't know. He never found the Holy Grail, and I don't even know if he owns those castles anymore.
And I'm not sure he's really good with real estate purchases.
Right. He's kind of questionable on that.
Another jump into the weird of Nic Cage. You know, one time he had 2 albino cobras. He kept them in a bulletproof glass cage with a syringe of the anti-venom right next to it. But I have a quote from him. He said, I'm not going to do Nic Cage. They would try to hypnotize me by showing me their backs, and then they would lunge at me. Again, he did give those to a zoo because he realized not the best pet.
No.
You can't really take them for walks, things like that.
Now, he did the same thing with a 2-headed snake. He purchased a 200. Oh my gosh, a 2-headed snake for about $220,000, and he brought it. He had everybody over to his house for a party, and brought out this 2-headed snake. And there was a producer there, and said, "We need to get this in the movie." He objected big time, and he's like, "No, this is for my personal life, not in a movie." So he donated the snake to a zoo. 2-headed snake is gone.
Weird.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it just keeps getting weirder. So Nic Cage also had a talking crow. My man loves animals. But here's a quote from him. I just bought a crow. His name is Huggin, after one of Odin's 2 ravens, Huggin and Munnin. And he's amazing. Guys interrupting the show. Let me continue. He says hi when I walk into the room and bye when I leave. The other morning, he started laughing and called me an a-hole.
Right.
Sounds about right.
So that goes along. Nic Cage is a huge believer in mythology and numerology and alchemy. So he is very much in tune with the beginnings of the universe, how numerology works into it. His number is number 7. I don't know what that means to those who appreciate numerology, but his number is number 7. That's what he's into. But that also goes along with the mythology. I just think that this guy is so in tune with, not the occult, that's not the right word, but the non-standard religions, previous religions. He's just in touch with all of it and has worked it into his being. I just think it's amazing because, he actually uses it to fuel his creativity. And I actually came across an interview with him and Marilyn Manson where they were talking about this creative process. And sometimes as an actor, you might hit a dry spell where you don't know how to get over, how to insert some creativity into something. And he says, you know what I do? I put on either some old music, I look at some art, I listen to some poetry, and it just triggers things. So the way I took that was that he's super in touch with his creative side, but that is also kind of in the same vein as his spiritual side and believing in these other religions and methods of life. I think that he's not necessarily psychic, but maybe a conduit to the other side.
I would not be surprised if that is true.
Right.
Most likely not, but I wouldn't be surprised. Favorite Nic Cage movie?
Oh boy. That's a good question. I'm gonna say the one with Cher.
What?
Raising Arizona is a very good one.
Yeah, Raising Arizona. Mandy? That was a great one.
Kick-Ass is my favorite.
Okay.
I gotta go Con Air.
Con Air?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Oh, don't even start with that. Where
You
you
just
going?
stop.
Oh my gosh!
You know you love National Treasure.
Oh God! I just had a little reflux come up. Sorry.
So-
Oh my gosh!
So then I gotta pose the question: if he's a conduit to the other side, if he's into all of this stuff, why was he so scared after one night? Like, what
I
really
know.
could affect him that much?
I don't know.
Any thoughts, Nash?
Well, there was an incident where he was on set of a movie. It was called Mom and Dad, and there was a scene where he was playing pool, and I don't know how a sledgehammer got introduced into this, but he's very big on compartmentalizing his fears, his regrets, his angers from his youth and his past. So they played a song that everybody knows, the Hokey Pokey. And he remembered as a youth being forced to do this, the frustration and the anger that it felt from it. So he literally took a sledgehammer to a pool table on the movie set and destroyed this pool table. And I'm thinking that he is so affected. He's just like a litmus strip. If something negative's in the area, he's going to feel it. And I think the negativity that he was picking up from the house was just too much. It was too much. It overwhelmed him, and he was like, forget it. I'm out. I can't do this. I can't do it at all. I think he's really, really sensitive to the other side.
I'm with you. I mean, the guy's going to play Dracula in an upcoming movie.
I know.
So whatever he does, I'm going to check it out. Anything else about Nic Cage?
Oh, I've got a whole mess of stuff.
Oh, well, then please continue.
Yeah. So one of the things that he kind of believes is the power of manifestation. So he really takes specific moments and will hold on to them. So like if you make a wish at a birthday, when you're have a birthday cake and you make a wish, blow out the candles. He's the type of guy, and he's done this before, to where he holds on to the wish that he makes so much that he manifests it to happen.
Like a tulpa?
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. And so I don't know if it's the power of positive thought.
Where did you read this?
He did an interview with Marilyn Manson.
Oh, okay.
And they're close friends, and it was a really informative on both of them. It was really, really interesting.
Huh.
And so it's like, I don't know if he's adjusting his wishes, or if like he's just a shooting star and you make a wish on a shooting star. I don't know if he's curtailing those wishes to something that is attainable, or if it's something that he makes a wish that he wants in his heart, but he focuses on it so much that it manifests in reality. Who knows? Who knows? He with someone who has that sensitive to the other side, being able to manifest things like that, maybe he can do it. I don't know.
So he is the Highlander.
Maybe.
Immortal, fighting with swords. I love it.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
I mean, you got the smallest notebook known to man.
I do.
Do you have more information?
I had it fit in my pocket, so yeah. I have a really nice quote from him that I really, really appreciate. He says, now this was in that same interview, but he said, "What is magic but imagination combined with the will to create effects in the natural world?" So I kind of listened to that. I thought, yeah, that makes sense. I really appreciate that. So the way I see it is that Nic Cage could potentially be a guy who was noticed in his birth name is Nicholas Coppola. Okay. So he is of that family. So he was in a family that got him on screen. But he could be the type of person that was sensitive from the get-go and then just got put into the movies and then has now the means to really explore all of these avenues all at once. So I think that, you could be, he theoretically could maybe be possessed. He's sensitive to the other side. He could just be a magnet for other spirits. And I don't mean possessed as in all the time, but maybe influenced heavily from spirits that are coming through. I don't know. I just think that he's possibly a guy who could do that.
Yeah, for sure.
And most people would see that and go, "Dude, you are whacked out," and would make sense in that realm. Yeah.
All right. You good now?
I think so.
All right, so that's all we got on Nic Cage, and he's more paranormal than the house, I think.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think so too. They even said when he did Ghost Rider, the Ghost Rider movies, that he's a method actor, so he would stay in character. It's sort of like, okay, well, how in character as Ghost Rider? How in character is he really staying?
He is Ghost Rider.
Yeah. So I mean, he could inhabit all of these things. I don't know. I think it's an awesome idea.
Now, there's so much more. This is just a little bit of how interesting and awesome he can be. Now, every show we end with a listener paranormal experience that they send us. So we're going to do that here because it actually ties in to pop culture. So this is from Indiana Johnny. He said, "Hey, guys, it's been a while. He has some strange things happening. A couple of months ago, I got a couple sets of bookshelves to put his movies on that he has on either side of his television. One evening, while watching TV, he noticed that two of the DVDs were pulled out slightly, maybe like an inch. The weirdest part was that it was a DVD on each side at the exact same spot. He pushed them back in. The next day, they were back out again. Now, after that, it continued to happen every night, but only one after that. One side, one DVD kept being pulled out. He pushed it in to be pulled out. The DVD was The Adventures of Pete and Pete. He kept putting them back. This kept coming out, and he doesn't know what it means. It's been happening for several weeks. He thinks it's really weird, and he doesn't know if it's a message from beyond and what the message would possibly be.
Interesting.
So, Johnny, if you're listening, well, you will, when we post this on our website, I guess if there's a ghost in your house, he wants to watch The Adventures of Pete and Pete.
Yeah. Or maybe just get rid of them because there might be bad movies.
Oh yeah, take it out. I get it.
Yeah, he's like, get rid of these. I've seen this. Let's watch Star Wars again. You got some really good anime on this shelf. We're watching Petey and Petey. Get rid of that. Come on.
Pete and Pete.
Well, oh, sorry.
Petey and
Get it
Petey.
right.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry.
That's our show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, spending your time at the show to hear our ramblings.
Yeah.
We're Paranormal Punchers. You can learn more at paranormalpunchers.com. We actually do have our own comic book.
Yeah.
Two of them, actually. One called, go figure, Paranormal Punchers, and our latest one that we just released today called Bigfoot Ridge. It is kind of a what-if story, like what if we took up an offer from a listener to go visit a remote cabin in the woods to find Bigfoot. You can imagine that things don't go our way. So you can find it on our website. Thank you so much. Have a great Fan Expo.
Thank you.
Huge round of applause for the Paranormal Punchers right here on the creators stage. We got a lot more amazing podcasting going on all weekend long right here at Fan Expo Philly. So stick around for a lot more. Another big round of applause for the folks at Paranormal Punchers.